Hi, my name's Kristen Boddy and I'm an IELTS teacher at Viva College in Brisbane. Today in Spotlight on IELTS, I'd like to talk to you about the IELTS Reading Test. Now, for those of you that are familiar with IELTS, you will know that there are actually two different formats for the reading test. There is the academic format and the general format. The advice that I'll be giving you today is probably more appropriate for the academic format. However, if you're doing the general test, you will be able to use this advice for part 3 of your test as well. So keep listening. Alright, so many of my students ask me, Chris, how can I improve my text comprehension? And obviously, vocabulary is useful. Being able to read quickly is useful so that you actually have enough time to read and understand all of the text. But also understanding how texts are commonly organized is a useful way to be able to predict where answers are going to be located. So because the texts are often taken from academic articles, there is a typical structure that they tend to follow, and I'd like to look at that with you now. So typically texts are analysed or organised in 3 sections: the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. Now, depending on the topic of the text, you'll find a slightly different structure. Let's imagine, for example, that the topic is the environment, which is actually a very common topic in IELTS. Probably in the introduction, they'll talk to you about some of the common things that people are experiencing related to the environment nowadays. They then might go on to describe problems that people are facing, and in the end of the article, they'll describe some solutions. It's unlikely that they'll describe solutions before they describe the problems. Let's imagine that they're talking about unemployment. They might start off by introducing the unemployment rates in many countries around the world today. They then might describe some of the causes of this unemployment and then the effects of this unemployment. Typically, they won't describe the effects before they describe the causes. Maybe they're talking about gender differences between boys and girls. They might conduct some research which they are analysing to see what are some differences in the ways that boys and girls learn. And then they might discuss how we can apply this research in the classroom today. And again, it's unlikely that they would talk about applications of research before they talk about the research itself. Finally, let's imagine that they're talking about culture in the world today and perhaps how cultures are changing. They might describe a specific situation in a country where we have a lot of multiculturalism, and then they might analyse that situation and say why it's relevant for us in the world today. They wouldn't give us the analysis before they had described the situation. Now, all of this might seem very simple and very logical to you, and that's the point. It is. It's simple and it's logical. But for some reason, usually because students are nervous, when they get into their test, they forget that texts follow these logical kinds of structures. So when they're looking for answers, they don't remember the fact that they should actually be able to find them in very predictable parts of the text. So my advice to you is to review these typical kinds of structures, take some example tests and do some analysis yourself. Break the paragraphs down and see if you can categorize them into these specific kinds of structures, just so that you can see that there is a logical pattern that these texts follow. And that way, when you're being asked a question, for example, true, false, and not given, and you need to identify whether a statement is about a cause or effect, it's more likely that you would go to the end if you're looking at the effects, and you would go to the middle if you're looking for causes. So again, it's something very simple, but something very useful if you're struggling to find the answers that you need. Let's quickly summarize what we've talked about today. So this information here is about text organization. I've been telling you that usually academic texts follow a very logical structure, and if you understand that structure, you're going to be able to locate answers that you need quickly and effectively. So review these structures where you're at home. Find articles on the internet and practice analysing the structures as evidence for yourself that the structures are as follows. And then when you're in your real test, don't lose your mind, don't forget your logic, be logical, and remember to follow the cause and effect problem, solution, research, applications, situation, analysis, models. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name's Kristen Boddy and I'm an IELTS teacher at Viva College in Brisbane. If you have any questions or would like to make some comments, please leave them in the comments section below, and I hope that you can join us again next time for Spotlight on IELTS. Bye for now.